People say our games are like clown fiestas, but we're going to show people exactly what a clown fiesta is. We have a sort of messy style, but I mean, I think it works for us. That's the way we play, and it has won us the games, and we just need to sort of perfect it in a sense. Like use it to our advantage, which currently we haven't exactly done so, considering we lost to TM and Chiefs the recent weeks. But every team has their style, and that's our style. Coming to playoffs, AV are definitely the underdogs. Legacy, they've won OPL a couple of times, and they've been top 4 ever since I remember. Not to mention Chiefs and DW, Direwolves as well. I know it's going to be hard for us, but I definitely don't think that it's not like we don't have a chance, because if they underestimate us, we will win.
Welcome back to the OPL first semi-final this Split 2. My name is Michael Hingersing, and I'm joined here at the Analyst desk by Jake Spawn Tiberia and Indiana Frostgren Black. Guys, let me start with that video we just saw from Chenny Boy. He's described himself, the AV style, as messy, and he said, I don't know if you picked up on that, he said, look, we've got to stick with this and make it work for us, even though it hasn't really been working for us this split. Is that an interesting strategy? I mean, if you've got a thing that you have doubts about, why are you not changing it up?
I'm all for teams, understanding their identity. I definitely think that AV do have a good grasp on where they're strong, which is kind of their scrappy skirmish style. That said, this idea and definition of kind of the chaos style League of Legends, it's pretty much been kind of a buzzword that's been thrown around a lot. And I frankly have to say, anytime someone says we thrive in chaos or we have a messy style, that just tells me you have no idea what's happening on the map, that you just have to fight to win.
But at the same time, I've got really rough hands, so I'm not going to be a hand model anytime soon. So at least he knows that. In that case, he is.
All right, if you are following along on hashtag IamOPL, that is via social media, and I'm going to throw it over to Atlas right now, who's going to update us on what you're all saying.
Thank you very much, Hingers, and I once again am your conduit to the social media wall. As you can see, 57% now for Legacy after what was a commanding game number 1, but I, of course, know you guys. We're Oceanian. We want to be rooting for the underdog, so make sure you get behind AV at the same time. The Legacy Legion is most definitely out in force, but AV needs some of your love. And of course, we are going to read out some of these as well. Zoseph with that face when they call you mediocre. Hashtag LGC win. Choose, of course, reacting to Triple's call-outs there in that prior video. As you can see on the side of Avant, we fall in Game 1, but we are not out of it yet. Preparing for Game 2 now, as of course, Avant do need to make some changes. We'll see whether they can and whether that is going to influence you guys on social media as well. Back to you, Hingers.
Thank you, Atlas. All right, let's do some quick analysis before we hop into Game 2. Frostgate, let me start with you. You predicted before we went into Game 1 that we're going to see a lot of cautious play because this is a new patch. That's kind of how things played out in terms of the AV style on that bottom lane. Do you think that's going to be the narrative for the rest of this best-of-5 series?
I don't necessarily think it's because of the new patch. I think that Chenny Boy and Jake just play cautious. They play utility. That's what they've been. We have the Ash bans. They play Jhin. They play Sivir. They use Jhin as a utility AD carry as opposed to a hyper carry. Ezreal Karma. They're just going to constantly play disengage, which is why I gave it to King. He's an aggressive AD carry. He's superior mechanically than Chenny Boy. He got to prove it last game, and as long as we have isolated matchups, King and Kuden will continue to run over Chenny Boy and Jake. They just have to survive. On the other side, though, Legacy, like Jake said, they played a massive gamble on 5-man top at 6 minutes, 30 seconds.
I think that play, I'm just replaying it in my head over and over again, and there's just so much wrong with it. I mean, I love the tenacity, and I do like the ability to be able to pull it out. Generally, you see with Sivir comps, you would see something similar at about 9 minutes into the game, where the Sivir would go up there and run a similar play in standard lanes previously, but I just think that there's so much counterable from it. If Avant are going to win these games, they just need to isolate the map. I mean, they need to turn this into 1v1, 1v1, and 2v2 style League of Legends. And Shelby has to go back to his old style of League of Legends of, invading the jungle and keeping Carbon down. Carbon had way too much influence over the early game, and if they can actually play that style, I think that Avant, like their pick ban to me, it was a very Avant pick ban. I'm not going to say I loved it. If any other team pulled it out, I would hammer them for it. But at the end of the day, this is how Avant play League of Legends, and it's about now keeping tabs on Carbon, making sure he can't do the same thing in Game 2.
Well, Jake, you were speaking of Carbon, and earlier today you spoke to him. So let's check out your interview as we go into Game 2. Let's see if we can pick up on any of those nerves which might have prevented him from picking up those Keystone Masteries in Game 1.
Hey guys, Spawn here with Legacy's captain and jungler, Carbon. Carbon, before we get into this week's game, I want to ask about last week. Direwolves, tiebreaker, behind, dive into the pit, pick up the Baron. How did it feel?
Yeah, it always feels good to get a Baron steal. It's kind of a running joke at the Legacy house. For years, my teammates have been telling me that smiting is actually 70-30 in favor of the team trying to secure because you can time the smite with your team's burst damage. But I've always told them it was 50-50, but usually it's 4 against 1 argument. But since we got a new coach who used to be a jungler as well, me and him always laugh about how they say it was 7-30. But yeah, it was a great moment.
All right, Soulstrike's helping out there in some of the household disputes. I do want to get your thoughts. Last time you played Avant in a final, a couple of years ago. I mean, you've got them again. This time you were a little bit more confident coming in?
I mean, we were confident last time. So, no, same amount of confidence. Look, I think as long as we do, as long as everybody plays their role, we should be able to come away with the W. But, look, land is always different. AV have made upsets before. They beat us already once this season. So, definitely not taking them lightly.
And you know, you're facing off against an old rival in Chelby. What are your thoughts on him as a jungler? He's been around for a while now, continuing to get better.
Yeah, Chelby's a interesting player. He kind of goes in and out. He has phases, I think. Sometimes he's really, really good, and then sometimes he just seems to fall off altogether. I think he's definitely having a bit of a purple patch at the moment. They've been definitely playing pretty well. He's been playing pretty well lately. But remains to be seen whether or not it'll be enough.
And of course, you're flanked by the 2 veterans in Tally as well as Choose. He's got 2 rookies pretty much on his team in Paradise and Triple. Is that experience going to come out in the end?
Well, we'll have to see. Like I said, land is always different, and it's all about how you can handle the land nerves. I mean, we've been to our fair share of rodeo, so I think we'll be all right. As for them, though, yeah, not so sure.
All right, of course, Legacy looking to add another notch in their belt after this one, guys. Don't stay anywhere. Legacy versus Avant is coming up.
Well, of course, Hingers, to answer your question, sounds like Carbon is absolutely fine. You just decided you didn't want any Keystone Masteries because they're for cheaters.
I mean, the last time that they played against each other, which is what he's saying, the same amount of confidence, there was a quote from Carbon saying that if Chelby comes into my jungle, I will fight him. And I don't think that's changed, even without the Keystone Masteries that he may have accidentally missed there. Not going to be an intentional thing moving into the second game, I would expect.
Yeah, was still able to farm out an absolute storm there as well. And the Nidalee did not affect his play whatsoever as we jump straight into Champ Select for game number 2 of this semi-final match between AV and Legacy. Legacy now on our red side as AV pick up the blue. And Trundle going to be banned away first up. Malzahara Dancer.
And as we move into this second game, the question was going to be to Avant, can they adapt to what Legacy have thrown at them in the face of adversity? Banning the Trundle is actually something that I really do like.
Yeah.
It was very much a standout performance from Kuda, and he stepped up to the plate in this semi-final and went off. Does have the rest of the team backing him up. The Jin's an important one, but because they're on blue side, I'd say their preference actually lies towards picking it opposed to banning that one away. So instead, they choose Talia.
Yeah, Talia going to get banned. Gragas once again going to be banned. Of course, Legacy banned at game number 1. Now Avant removing it on their blue side as well.
Really?
Could be an option. Bard, of course, was another ban that came out in the last game, and actually would be a nice first pick option there. Answers to the Jhin and lanes well with him, but Jhin is going to be banned here from Legacy. We'll see what AV decide to go with as Braum picked up immediately by Jake.
Yeah, so the first inkling that we mentioned of the Jhin being a standout carry.
Yep.
King was legendary in that game. Legacy banned it away because they know for a fact that Chenny will lock that in the first rotation. Even a safe one here from AV, going for a Braum. Not revealing any kind of strategy as a well-rounded and sculpted champion. They do give over the obvious Cassiopeia and another one.
Yeah, no Talia to be picked into this Cassiopeia as well, and Shoes has definitely shown that he's fantastic on it. Carbon picking away the Rek'Sai. I think it's the same first-round picks that AV went for on their red side.
Yeah, it definitely is. Lots of adaptation still to be seen, though, from AV, because these are, whilst it's basically AV's first draft, AV banned away a lot of Legacy's champions. They're now saying the gauntlet's yours to throw.
Yeah.
What are you going to bring out? Because we're bringing out what you played.
Yeah. See whether they can do it better on the side of Legacy. As AV do have the opportunity to go for something like an Aurelia if they want to. I would love to see Ashe out of Chenny Boy as well, the Ashe Braum lane, something that I'm definitely a fan of. The mustache lane that Froskerin does like to call it. Brilliant. As Hecarim being looked at, of course, has seen a few nerfs to that Q. Not quite as much damage, but still, he's a majestic horse.
And I mean, you put him with a Sivir or a Karma, still going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Braum's there, so it would be the Sivir if any AD carry, as they have locked away a strong champion for triple.
Yeah, and Legacy can go for the Sivir and Karma right now if they wanted to. Pick that away from this movement speed-based composition around the Hecarim.
Yeah, and provide move speed to a Rek'Sai and a Cass who need that speed to lock you down. Of course, move speed for Lion champions of their own respects.
Yeah.
Not a bad pick overall if they did commit all into a Sivir Karma style of lane. Bard's always there as a playmaker though if he wants to match his Trundle utilities from game number 1. Into the Braum, it's not ideal, but it definitely is still serviceable.
Now, Legacy currently looking at a few different options at the moment. But I would love the Bard. Of course, Bard and Ezreal, something like that here for King. Really strong level 1 presence.
I worry about the Ezreal being a pick. I'd say Lucian's more of King's style.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like the Sivir where you can still carry.
There it is. Prophet Rusty pokes his head out one more time, and that is going to be exactly the bottom lane picked up by Legacy.
That was a really prolonged one as well.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I feel like they took some time to register that that's what you said and went, oh, okay. Yeah, no, Lucian Bard sounds like a good choice.
No, they have locked it in, however. It's very strong for them as individual players, and it does fit into the team quite nicely. Any low-ranged AD carry having a Cassiopeia with it is all about empowerment for the AD carry. So King, being Lucian, can stand directly behind Choo-Choo's and feel safe about it.
As well as, I just love Tempered Fate. And then the Cassiopeia just wanders up to that group of people and sprays their face with Petrifying Gaze, which is just a heck of a lot of damage even if they don't get stunned, as Chenny does lock away the Ashe. And now Paradise looking for the Echo and locks it in towards the top side of the map. Oh, do it, Tally. Don't be scared.
That would be so far past disrespect that I really don't think he would do it. Noting that champions like Aurelia are still there, which will do well into the Echo, or at least reasonably well into the Echo.
Yeah, he locks it away. No reason not to go towards it. And I find it interesting that Paradise isn't picking away the Aurelia himself.
Yeah, Paradise, of course, a standout Aurelia performer, also has a great Fiora there. Lots of carry champions are available to him, but instead he's reverting to the Echo that was quite successful throughout the split. He has been a big player when he gets that Echo, but it is a big question mark. I mean, they've got a nice composition to work around. If the Ashe Arrow connects, they've got follow-up crowd control from the Braum, from the Echo stun, even the Azir and the Hecarim to an extent. But at the moment, what I'm seeing is objective control as a composition, but a lot of their focus is on killing Choose, and he's immediately swapped to Cleanse.
He most certainly has. Of course, you see an Ashe, generally you pick up that Summoner spell. But I'm interested in how Paradise is actually going to play this Echo as well and how he's going to build him. Is it going to be the AP Echo that we did see out of the guy? Massive carry potential, didn't win the game, but did do incredibly well in his lane. Or are we going to see something like, Proto-Bell Trinity Force, which is extraordinarily fun and does a whole lot of weird things.
And pretty good at the moment. Trinity Force Echo's starting to see more play. It means he can be a happy medium between carry and tank if he chooses to build tanky afterwards, similar to the Aurelias that we're now seeing on Summoner's Rift with Build Path. That availability is there. AV's team composition is very much a pick and follow-up based composition, but again, I think their best bet is having Legacy come to them so they can set up that crowd control.
Yeah, as well as the fact that AV have a heck of a lot of carry threats on their side. I mean, you include Hecarim in that conversation. Hecarim and Echo, that dive threat on the backline, terrifying.
Also quite good at getting past the Cassiopeia stun when you think about it. The Hecarim ultimate goes through everything.
Yeah.
And is quite dangerous if you're going to be king.
Most certainly does, as we do hop onto Summoner's Rift for game number 2. AV champing at the bit to try and get out of that fountain. Shelby, of course, very thematically correct as far as that saying is concerned. You can see him galloping up the mid lane.
Is that the headless one?
Can't see. Can we have a zoom in, please, Mr. Observer?
Shelby, just turn around and we'll just...
A little bit more. Come on.
He's moving too much. I really can't tell.
Yeah, well, Legacy actually in the brush here. Almost a stun from Kuden, but doesn't find it onto Chenny. Good Winter's Bite onto King.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Almost very dangerous.
Yeah. Still making moves against standard lanes as expected.
Whoa, yeah. Flash comes out of Jake to get himself out of the way. Chenny gets poisoned as Choose makes his way down. Early Summoner spell out of Jake, though.
Yeah, they get the flash out. Jake, usually in situations like this, AV would say, well, we lane swap now. We're done. We'll just call that a day. We'll go get turrets. My flash will be back up after the 2 turrets fall anyway, and then we'll reset again. But you don't want to do that on Summoner's Rift anymore, because if you give Legacy the option to push bottom lane, they will take the turret before you. They will get that first blood gold on the turret, and they will snowball Tally on the Aurelia again, which you have to highlight is the most important lane for Avant Guard, because they want Paradise going.
They most certainly do. It's decided to go for the Doran's Ring Start as well, so no Corrupting Potion to answer Tally. We'll have a couple of potions to his name. It does opt into having a bit more AP in the early stage.
Yeah, only has 19 AP total though, so isn't going into the AP realm with his build.
Yes.
He's just getting that sustain from the mana regeneration as well, something that a Gangplank can occasionally do.
Oh yeah.
If you really want to.
I feel like that's the hipster Gangplank build. It's like, yeah, I can build AP on a champion.
It goes well with Corrupting Potion.
Yeah.
Also increases your heal on the W, I think.
Perfect.
There's worse things.
Well, now you can see mid lane, bit of a farm fest. Should be noted that Triple will be able to stand up to some of the consistent damage that Choose can put out. But both of them taking cleanse in this lane, as Triple does not want to get stunned by that Petrifying Gaze.
He's going to miss the minions as well, completely pushed off there. Tally having a bad time.
Yeah, passive procced there by Paradise towards the top side. So that alliteration was definitely an accident. King and Kuden getting the push here on this bottom side of the map, but even on farm, Kuden's just harassing Jake out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of similarities between these teams. We already said it's really important for Paradise to be ahead. The same thing goes for Tally, who's currently struggling. Because if Tally's behind, then it feels like one of Legacy's biggest win conditions is actually just gone for them. It's like Carbon's even posturing to the top side as King.
Yeah, Shelby's on the bottom side of the map. Good exhaust comes out as Chenny Boy looks for the auto, but doesn't do enough damage. The tower, oh my goodness, close to killing him with the help of Kuden. But AV don't lose anyone in that attempted dive.
And of course, Warlord's Bloodlust and the potion is going to be there for Chenny, so he'll be fine in this lane. But early differences between game 1 and 2 at the moment for AV's bottom lane. They died, remember, in game 1.
Yeah.
This time around, they've got control, and Toby's the one to actually switch it up and come bottom.
And I mean, you may look at that and say, well, didn't get a kill. This is, you know, not going to be a big deal for Legacy, but King had to go back. He's now 12 CS to 20. This is huge for Chenny Boy, who wants control in this lane.
Yeah, it definitely is. He will go back himself, Chenny, and unfortunately the difference in farm's never going to amount to anything when it's this low of a value. But it's still the experience advantage, control of the lane, and early pressure, which means momentum as well for AV in that 2v2. Carbon yet to have a presence just goes back to base because he can't get any ganks off.
Yeah, just couldn't find Paradise. It was sitting in that brush for so long. As you can see, Tally evens out that farm very nicely. 26 now to 14 with this wave heading towards Paradise.
Yeah.
And you can see Legacy actually have quite a lead to the tune of about 500 gold. And that is all to do with this mid lane, where Choose is honestly tearing apart Triple in that farm.
And it all started at level 2, where he completely zoned him off minions. And I feel like Choose heard that interview and said, mediocre, huh? I'll show you. He's doing well at the moment.
It certainly is. It's Tally actually turning things around on Paradise. Takes a cheeky turret shot.
Just trying to push it in. Reset. Don't allow any freezes to be seen. That's an early blue buff for Choose.
Oh dear.
They're accelerating his strength.
Certainly are, as Paradise grabs himself a shield. Parallel convergence. Running low on the old mana though. Tally evens out on health with that hidden style.
Good moves from Tally, actually.
Yeah, really good. Gets another Blade Surge over the top as well, as Paradise actually puts himself back in. Nice movement speed from the passive.
Guess who's here?
Yeah, Shelby looking for it. Is seen by the minions, and Tally flashes in the right time. And Shelby knocks him away.
You've got to love that interaction as well.
It's so weird.
Every time that you flashed from a Hecarim, it'll knock you in the direction you just flashed towards.
Yep.
So he's able to get out safely. Has a teleport and will come back to lane with an aggressive item choice once more. In that Sheen, you'd look at Shelby and say perhaps they want to threaten again. Really unrealistic given that he has no health and mana of his own. And so Legacy's top laner gets the farm. Everything will reset.
Paradise actually opting in for the double Doran's Ring and a Ruby Crystal. We'll see whether that Ruby Crystal is going to go to a Phage, or whether he decides to go for something like a Proto Belt.
Yeah, both
early
impossible.
AP.
Yeah, both entirely possible. I should say not impossible. That's not true. You'd expect Trinity Force.
Oh, I'd be excited about one, most definitely, as I believe I've made that one relatively clear. Chenny Boy farming out quite nicely here against King, 39 to 41, as these minions will get picked up pretty easily. Jake helping out there with his Relic Shield. And this bottom lane doing much better for AV. It has been, I guess, a point of the map that we've been talking about for AV as not being their point of carry.
And the best part about it doing better is it's not winning, but it's not losing. And that's why it's doing better, and that's really all that AV want from Jake and from Chenny.
Yeah.
It's just to survive. Just hold on for dear life. Keep swimming. Get towards late game where their utility is going to be avidly used. And with an Ashe Braum, that's picturesque for AV. Right now it comes down to Paradise, Chelby, and Triple and what they can actually get done. But there is a trade-off right now where Legacy's other lanes, where AV are usually strong, aren't winning.
Yeah. Triple especially is a big question mark on a champion that he's historically done extraordinarily well on in this Azir. We'll see whether it's going to get turned around, whether Chelby can farm himself up to a point where he can help out. But Choose, now level 7, will be able to stop the Hecarim in his tracks. Yeah. He does come looking for a gank.
And we already highlighted how AV win this game and how their top lane's important, how they've got a lot of damage and utility where they can make pit compositions. But Legacy at the moment, and to me, are going to revolve a lot around very similar concepts. They have a Cassiopeia and a Lucian. They will destroy neutral objectives. Chelby now looking top lane.
Yeah, stun doesn't come down from Paradise, but there's the ultimate out of Tally. Chenny,
oh my God.
What the hell? Tally turns it around and picks up the kill. It's a 1-for-1, but you'll take that if you're the Aurelia.
He almost got a stun off and lived as well. That's well done from Tally. Almost too well done from that Aurelia. They get a 1-for-1 trade in a situation where Carbon now has control. He can pick and choose where he'd like to go.
Yeah. He gets that Rage Bar up to full health. As you can see it, the gank's actually coming in. We are going to have a look at Tally falling down, as Triple did get himself out with the flash.
And the tower shot is the big deal there. Chelby used the ulti just a tiny bit too far.
Yeah.
The smallest details mean the biggest deal.
Unbreakable comes down. The flash from Chenny Boys comes out from Kuden as well. Exhaust goes down. Legacy are able to get out, but Summoner spells burnt from both King and Kuden.
3 Summoner spells total from Legacy, 2 from AV, and both are Chennies, which means Carbon can come down there and look for the Ashe. However, I don't think they needed the exhaust, and he'll use it at the same time from Legacy, as that's a move.
Yep, but Triple doesn't actually find it. Parallel Convergence comes down, avoided by Choose as the Petrifying Gaze stuns up the Echo. He's still able to get the kill and has the ultimate if needed. Chelby this time isn't going to die to the turret, and AV get one back.
Fancy feat from Choose, though. Does force a lot used from AV to even find a kill, but they get it. That's the important detail. Unfortunately for AV, Triple doesn't pick it up, so still actually a little bit behind in that middle lane. Paradise, though, 2-0, the recipient of the gold, now starting to creep ahead.
Well, this is good news for AV, as we are going to see this one again. A little bit of a comedy.
Yeah, just a little bit. Unfortunately for Choose, the stun didn't connect on the Chelby as well. It was just the damage and the slow. Also didn't flash at the right time. I think he could have maybe dodged the parallel convergence and flashed off the Hecarim to get a boost to safety. Doesn't work out perfect, but very close too.
Certainly does. Doesn't create a lot of space here for Triple, however. 71 to 88 in that farm. Choose doing extraordinarily well. A lot of it has to do with just Choose being good at farming on Cassiopeia.
I mean, at 10 minutes, 90 farm, pretty good. He's had 2 blue buffs throughout that time as well, so it's expected, honestly, that he will win mid lane. Things have gone how Legacy have anticipated, except for that bottom lane, perhaps, where they are basically just even. Barely lived a couple times now, though. And Carbon just hasn't got anything done.
Well, Arrow just going to whiff past Kuden, but he doesn't have flash. He is going to get focused here as Jake gets stunned up by the Tempered Fate. Shelby has to watch out as teleport was cancelled, but Carbon's going to be in here. Ultimate comes down, doesn't find Kuden with it, but King gets knocked up. Still able to take down Chenny as Carbon now going to be stunned. Jake now has to make his way out, but Magical Journey gets Legacy to relative safety, and Triple can't finish off the Lucian. Legacy play it out beautifully.
King could have taken the Magical Journey and not lived with 10 health, but he lives with 10 health.
Yep.
The big difference between that fight right there is simply the smallest of health bars. And just like that, Legacy turn it on.
They do. Meanwhile, Tally on the top side of the map as well. Ultimate comes out from Paradise, but he's come to the wrong side of this lane. Timewinder comes in, so Tally will be slowed. Can't get the kill on the Echo, but that is definitely message received.
It's a Sheenan advantage, and the burst between the two is just substantially different. We do get to see how this one kicked off, and King actually thought the ult was going for him. Turns out it was Kuden. And a creative decision, honestly, from the side of AV, because Chenny just walks a bit too far forward. Good dodge from Carbon on the Braum ulti, actually.
Yeah.
To flash over it and put down the damage. And this is where King gets overconfident, looked for that extra kill, didn't realize he'd do that much to Chelby, and almost dies himself.
And you can see now Legacy went for that Mountain Drake, however, pull off it as soon as AV come around. Still don't want to push their luck here in game number 2. But once again, they have this early lead.
Yeah, and it's only so minute as well. Thankfully for AV, this time around, Paradise is big. Last time, they turret swapped at 5 minutes 30, 6 minutes roughly. They took a turret, they got a kill, they accelerated the game, Legacy, and then they just completely closed it out. And
yeah,
it's really choked AV out. This time around, they've got availability, they've got movements there, they're being proactive with the Ash Arrow and the ultimates. They're starting to rotate and move. They're warmed up.
We'll see whether they are going to make any aggressive moves as far as taking down turrets are concerned, as Kuden, really nice stun, but Unbreakable comes in and Kuden magical journeys his way out to avoid getting stunned by the concussive word.
That's the kind of thing where if I was Chenny, I'd just throw the arrow at King. And Kuden just went way too far forward when there's a Braum door up. Asking for it. Like, they're playing with their luck.
Yeah.
Quite forward and openly. And that's a risk, because if Chelby's ever there, they can't counter gank, which right now they can't, because there's no teleport on Tally. Then they ask her to die.
Well, speaking of a dive onto Tally, he is going to have to deal with this top lane and jungle from AV, and this time it's successful. But it's going to mean a dragon on the side of Legacy.
To contrast the differences between these games once more, and you are seeing it. AV's win strategies revolve entirely around Paradise and getting him going, and then having Triple involved, having Chelby fed as a byproduct of Paradise being big.
Yeah.
And then Chenny and Jake come into play and start making these movements. They're fine. They're just farming it. Maybe 20 CS in a kill now. AV's bottom lane are still not losing, and that's a win for them. Paradise now 2-0-1, almost at his Trinity Force, is still going to be a big deal because Chelby's up there making sure that he is going to be that carry. And now this horse, 1-1-2, may not look that great in scoreline, but is still a monster.
Most certainly is, and has the Cinderhole completed as well. So it's not just the fact that he has this longsword built up. He wants to be tanky here in the early game.
The crazy thing to really outline, though, is that Carbon's gone Sightstone in his build, so he's a bit behind in his item spikes, but he's meant to have control as we got a Suicide Penguin.
Whoa!
Oof.
Whoa!
That was a missile penguin. That was
insane. Whoa, I want to see that again. Can we have a replay? That'd be great. Paradise and Shelby looking to try and take down this Rift Herald, and it's looking like a little bit of an echo from game number 1 as far as the blue team picking up that first turret blood. First blood turret. Don't know what you're going to call it. Yeah, okay.
Turret
goes
first
down.
blood.
Paradise picks that one up. So we'll see whether AV, now with this top lane pressure, are going to be able to utilize it.
Yeah, turret first blood is what we'll call it.
Yeah,
I believe that is what it's
probably
titled
better
to be. So again, though, that Rift Herald goes to AV there, pulling the opposite of number 1 here in the second. Looking quite powerful.
Yeah.
And it really does come back to the point that I was going to say until Penguin missiles were rudely interrupting me in the best way possible. As a Sidestone Rek'Sai is not controlling Chelby at all. He is still an effective ganking jungler.
Yeah.
He's on that Hecarim, can move around really quickly, and is getting it done. That Sidestone has done nothing but put Carbon behind, unfortunately, in this early game. Of course, it will still have its relevance as we get to mid-game and late game around objectives, but getting there is now harder for Legacy.
We can see Tally, he's going back, has a 27 CS lead, which is definitely good news. Grabs himself some boots, Ruby Crystal. We'll see whether he's moving towards something like a Randuin's Omen as item number 2 to get tanky straight away. As Carbon's now looking for a gank here towards the bottom side. Not a lot of vision available for AV, but Carbon finds it. Good Pink Ward comes in and takes it away immediately. Shelby just cantering towards the Rek'Sai. The knockup does have to be good as he takes a fair bit of damage. Yeah, immediately with the teleport. As Triple causes the cancel.
Yeah, that teleport was super aggressive. There's no Drake to take as a result of the teleport. And Paradise now has an advantage in that respect. And so if AV make a play, they can just go.
Yeah, well, Arrow's going to come in, so AV definitely making a play. Kuden uses the flash, but gets knocked out of his magical journey, takes it again. Shelby launches over with the ultimate as Paradise is looking for King. Uses his ult to get himself out. Tempered Fate locks up the turret as Choose now uses the cleanse, gets out of the way, kills Chenny Boy, and he's kiting this one beautifully. Carbon right on top, and Shelby going to get taken down. Double kill comes in, make it a triple for the mid laner of Legacy, and yeah, not mediocre.
Not at all. They're still going and looking for Paradise. This will be interesting.
Yeah,
probably not.
Gets a cute little stun from the parallel convergence and gets away. But my goodness, this Snake Lady, pretty damn big.
Yeah, Choose is popping off at the moment. That's a big deal. King, unfortunately, just got killed by Kuden, who used his ultimate on the turret, and King's natural fight or flight response to the Tempered Fate was to dodge it. You will see this and how it comes down negatively. Shelby misses the ult here. Does damage, but it also knocks him away because he hits the wall. This is the Bard ulti. Look at King. Like, well, awkward. He had nowhere to hide, nothing he could do. And this is where Choose actually steps up big and goes off. Gets 3 big kills at the end of this. They even give it to him.
Yeah, just cleans up. So it goes back. We'll be able to grab himself the Morellonomicon now. We'll see what else he can get at the same time. Because that's a needlessly large rod and the completion of that item. He is huge. Monstrous.
Yeah, that could be a Seraph's Embrace or Archangel Staff, or it could just be straight into the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, which would make sense given that he's against a lot of move speed heavy champions on the opposite side. You want to slow that Hecarim down, impede him in any way that you can. Also a really good pick into Hecarim in general is the cast.
Yeah, I like it. Also, just Rylai's Crystal Scepter for Choo-Choo's as a player, as we saw him kiting out so beautifully with that pick just before. Will only be aided by that item.
This is that moment where Legacy, they may only be a 3-man unit on the bottom side of the map, but they've also got a freeze now, only now being broken. On the opposite side, Paradise has nowhere to go, nothing to do. That means he wants to look mid, because he has nowhere else to be. If Choose shows his due respects, he wouldn't be here.
Looking for Choose, who doesn't find the ultimate. Triple swoops in and grabs himself the kill. Chenny has to deal with the culling as Tempered Fate's going to lock up the Ashe. Of course, no turret here towards the bottom side as Carbon gets himself into position. Kuden takes it upon himself to kill the AD carry as King wanted to get another kill. Slight minimization comes in here as Tally was looking for Paradise. And Carbon over to the side. Shelby uses his ult to get himself over. Legacy get to safety.
Yep. AV are able to walk away. Legacy also, who are currently invisible, are able to walk away. That was a pretty crazy turn of events.
I forgot where I was.
We're still looking at a big King, but we're seeing overzealous moves from Choo-Choo's not actually recognizing where Paradise could be, and perhaps that's not Choose, perhaps that's actually Tally, just not being too aware of it.
Yeah.
Carbon.
Sun turret, no match for him. He does have a Cinder Hog. You can see him burning down these minions as Choose utilizes his miasma and takes them down himself. And Archangel Staff was the option there, Rusty.
Yeah, wants to get that shield sooner as well, and against a lot of burst, I don't blame him. Speaking of, Paradise did a lot of damage there.
Oh yeah.
Given that he has the completed Trinity Force, he's starting to get a bit out of hand. Now 3-0-2. This is the same thing as the last game, nearly all over again, where if Legacy get the teleports in, they get the 5v5, then they will still actually have an effective top laner. Paradise is just slightly bigger, and so that 1v1 could start to be impacted.
Well, Paradise is going to come down to this Dragon to help them take this one. Vision is there for Legacy, as Tally does have teleport, but the Dragon is going to be secured. Paradise locked up by the Cosmic Binding as the teleport is going to get surrounded. Tally was looking back there, but the ultimate flies down. The Aurelia unable to be stunned up for too long, however, and he's not dead yet. Double kill for King in the backline as Chenny is trying his best to kite, but he just can't do it. Triple takes down Tally in the end, but now has to run as the Hawkshot spots the entire Legacy roster. And they tear apart the Birdman. AV in shambles after that.
And all that Hawkshot reveals is the Legacy members beating down the rest of his team. Unfortunately, that fight was executed so much better by Legacy than AV. This is our 20-minute potential Baron kickoff here. It's a Cassiopeia. They have a million pink wards apparently in this area. and no one's going to be there to stop them unless they can actually get here in time. But they do it so quickly.
Yeah, so quickly. Mountain Drake, Cassiopeia. Yeah, good luck, guys, as Jake watches it go down. Magical Journey's taken by all 4 members of Legacy, and they get themselves out. That's a 4,000 gold lead now for our OPL Legends, who are taking control again in Game 2.
And the best part about this teleport should have killed him. The Hecarim doesn't knock him in the right direction because he immediately fused to Paradise. That took a long time, longer than it should have, to even look at killing Tally. That was an afterthought where Choose gets a flank and gets the ult off, and then just zones Chenny away. Triple's best option here is to turn around, try his best to kill King. His best is never going to be enough. Now Legacy in the driver's seat once more.
Yeah. And Tally's happy to eat an arrow like that. Ionian Fervor is a ridiculously good passive for that. Paradise eats himself the culling, but heads back in onto King. King just kills him. He's got his 2-item spike, and he's just able to take him down.
King says not a chance, even has a bit of magic resistance to boot. And this Lucian is going huge at the moment. King, he's in a semi-final, but it feels like it's just another day for him.
4-1-4 as well. My goodness.
AV are trying to do the opposite here, though. They want to kill the Aurelia the exact same time, where it took 1 member of Legacy to deal with Paradise. They sent 3 down to potentially kill that Aurelia. And this is a Baron buff opposition that they're against here. So if AV make a move like that, they will immediately regret it with the standing gold available to Legacy.
Yeah, this outer turret looks to be the first option here, as of course. Whoa, Choose. Didn't have the cleanse up, so that arrow would have been a big deal. However, doesn't find it.
Barely missed it.
Yeah,
as well. I feel like that was just an accidental move to the side that just followed through there for Choose. Very lucky to be alive.
Yeah. Chenny, very close. Doesn't quite have any Essence Reaver or anything like that. Looks like he's going for the Infinity Edge second item for an earlier power spike on this Ashe. So won't have the CDR to get that arrow back off cooldown too quickly. It is level 11, so he's going to be up relatively soon.
Yeah, so that was a fair bit. And again, that's teamfight damage that Chenny's building towards. I do challenge that decision, strictly because more arrows would be more useful from the Ashe, given how it's going right now.
Yeah.
The King snowballing. That's risky.
Yeah, Chelby looking for an engagement. Goes down to half health against Legacy, or more than happy just to shoot the horse if he comes towards them.
Yeah, they will rinse and repeat that strategy with this Baron buff. Now threatening an inner, which means Choose gets a free mid lane turret all the while.
Yeah, well, there's a Tempered Fate as well as Carbon setting himself up for the knockup. Good parallel convergence placement as Paradise is looking for the stun. Gets it on Tally and Carbon. Concussive blows are there. Triple having some free time as Kuden's in trouble, but it's 2 kills already. Paradise launches forward, grabs himself the AD carry. And it is going to be Legacy now looking for more. Choose makes his way in. The Emperor's Divide knocks Carbon and Tally underneath the turret as Jake with the door down. Carbon still looking for it as Tally launches his way in. Gets the triple with the Blade Surge and just wanders past the turret.
3 Qs, 3 kills right there for Tally, and Legacy at 24 minutes in this game and now breaking an inhibitor. There is still a bit of time on most members of AV besides the Ashe. I think it'd be risky to push past this point, but that's such a big move now. And that was without Choose there at the start.
Yeah, and that's set themselves up to try and grab a Dragon coming up next with this top lane inhibitor going down. So strategic move once again for Legacy, paying off. And King now has himself the QSS.
And dies with Summoners up. Like, that could have been entirely worse for AV if he lived for any longer. Good moves from Triple. He was positioned well in the team fight. They did the best they could. But Chenny barely existed. Once again, 0-4 as Ashe. King is exploiting him. And Legacy don't need Tally to be big. AV need Paradise to be huge. That Trinity Force Echo is just not tanky enough to combat the enemies of Legacy.
Well, Legacy don't need Tally to be big, then they're not going to be disappointed, I guess, because he is, regardless.
Absolutely.
Gigantic, 5-3-4, but you're right, didn't get the same help this game. Almost has his Spirit Visage. Randuin's Omen already completed.
And the crazy thing is, yeah, Tally is one of the bigger win conditions of Legacy. They don't need him to be big simply because Choose and King are now going huge as we hit the later end of our split.
Yeah.
Even now in the semi-finals, they're showing that 3 winning lanes, or at least 2 of those 3, is how Legacy to get to that mid-game and start just playing the map and working around strategies, objectives, and executing on them. This is no exception.
Certainly isn't. Infinity Edge now done for Chenny. So decent 2-item spike. Triple looking for his 3rd in the Void Staff, which will be very important. And Paradise wants to find a second item, has a lot of components, but this outer turret just brute forced. No more Baron buff, but Legacy don't worry about it. And Relentless Pursuit gets King out of the way of the arrow.
Yeah, just casually to the side there, dodging that Ash arrow. Chenny, unfortunately, as we mentioned, no cooldown reduction, so that arrow is not going to be seen for quite a while. And this coincides with the Drake.
Yeah, super minions moving towards the top side of the map as well. So Legacy understand too much pressure on AV. Can't contest this Ocean Drake and will fall down very easily.
9,000 is that lead at the moment.
Ridiculous.
In complete control, simply out of nowhere, just from team fighting better than AV. It felt like Avant had control. They just lost it.
Well, of course, best of 5 series means that Avant will be 2 games in the hole if Legacy take this. It's very difficult to do that reverse sweep, as Chenny Boy probably needs to maybe not even stand underneath the turret. I feel like Tally doesn't care about that either.
Thankfully, Tally's gone, but that's not the lane for you, Chenny. Let's be blunt. If he ever pushed an extra wave, he'd die.
Yeah.
So he's showing his respects. But Paradise also now going top lane indicates that that's not changing. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There's that shot calling. Baron's up in a minute, so they should not be putting him elsewhere. Ash can't teleport.
And Tally certainly can. Paradise moves down here exactly like you were saying. Now, Chenny looking for that top wave. Paradise still with the touch of the void. So we'll be able to do a fair bit of damage back to Tally, but is that what it's called?
I have no idea.
Void touched, I think, is the buff.
There.
I don't know.
Healthy Harold's helpful buff.
I didn't know it was Healthy Harold. I just thought he was just the guy that
He's
would vacate in 20 minutes.
He's a void giraffe puppet.
Void giraffe puppet. Got it.
Isn't that what Harold was?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about.
The fans that Harold... No? Okay, this is a disaster.
Oh, it's fantastic. As King, he's got a Phantom Dancer. So
I'm not sure you went to an Australian school.
It was all I did. I've lived here all my life. As Paradise may have to ult himself out of this one, but doesn't get back over the wall. Phase dive's going to be there. As Legacy were looking about some sort of engage. Yeah, catches too. Jake and Paradise locked down. Decent position for Triple right now as he has Sand Soldiers in there. Good knockback from Shelby, but it's just not enough. Tally picks up one on the support, and Paradise super low. 3 dead now as King cleans up. And Triple running for the hills. Miasma comes through as King just flashes over the wall. Ardent Blaze picks up a triple kill for the style points, and Chenny's running the wrong way.
That is ending the game.
Yeah, Carbon and Tally looking for it. Trinity Force going to help out, and the rest of the team's going to turn up.
Yeah, so they stopped the Ash from recalling. There's 4 people still dead from the side of Avant, and this looks like it's going to be the second game to Legacy.
Yeah, Kuden going to possibly sacrifice his life as Chenny Boy flashes into the red pit to take down the support, but it doesn't matter. Nexus dies one more time, and in 29 minutes, Legacy take down Avant for the second time.
That's upping the tempo this time around from Legacy, and they'd be feeling a lot better about this victory. It wasn't just through Tally, it was a team effort. King had a winning lane, and really that's just cross-map momentum now achieved from this Legacy roster. AV, we said they need to hit the drawing board. Well, they need to have a really good hard think about this one, because they started it off by getting Paradise going, by playing to their strategy. They just never hit mid-game going.
Yeah, and the thing was as well is that Tally was never really kept down. He got a couple of ganks there towards the top side of the map, but went 1 for 1 in the first one.
Yeah.
Shelby fell down, and that was actually the Aurelia getting the first blood, so extra gold going into his hands, and he was set up.
And the thing that I'm always going to bring this back to when it comes to Avant is how they actually play around the map. They've got a top laner who most of the time will win the 1v1, but Shelby ganks it. The difference in this game was more so to me the difference in mid, where Choose was going huge and Triple just really wasn't showing up to the same level that Choose was. If Shelby starts focusing there instead, snowball the Azir. It could be an entirely different ballgame from Avant, but they play to that old and effective strategy.
Yeah, we'll see whether it is going to be effective as we move into the series. But for now, let's throw it back to the analyst desk to break down game number 2.
Thank you, Rusty and Atlas. That is game 2, all wrapped up. Legacy putting that together 2-0 now. Let's start with the context of this, right? AV were able to beat Legacy earlier in the split, but it seems like they are kind of really struggling tonight. Frosco, let's go with you. What do you reckon? Are they doing something different? Are they doing something the same? Are they just struggling? Is it Legacy stepping up? What's going on?
I think it's all eyes on Legacy right now. Truth be told, AV, they're playing a very similar game. You can see, the idea, constantly teleporting, trying to make those plays bottoms, but it's a failure of execution. Either the Ashe arrow not missing or Legacy just outplaying them, particularly on that Cassiopeia and Choo-Choos. So I don't necessarily think this is AV, slumping or dropping the ball. This is literally Legacy coming out of their slump and just playing up to the expectations that we've had as the most consistent team in the OPL.
Yeah, on top of that, I mean, Avant-Garde are kind of put under the microscope in what is a best of 5 now.
Sure.
I mean, their teleport play this game was very poor. They weren't able to get anything out of their mid laner in triple. So I think that there have been some issues for a while. I mean, I was crying for them going into the tiebreaker to play more towards triple. I mean, you got to get him rolling. He's a big control mage player, and we all know if they don't get to 3 items, they just fall over and do absolutely nothing. It's the biggest weakness of the class. So I think that, sure, right now, no doubt Legacy is back to playing their best style of League of Legends, but I think that Avant are playing way too much towards their game plan. Sure, they're still looking for the 5v5, but they're not funneling resources correctly.
Well, let's compare Game 1 and Game 2. Did we see improvements from AV in this series?
I think that they got a better top lane matchup. Let's go with that first. I think that Echo did a heck of a lot better. They tried to transition it around the map well, but they just still made some sloppy errors in team fights.
And again, it just comes down to execution failure. The fact that Paradise did get ahead, that he had a TP discrepancy over Tally because Tally used his to get back in the lane. The fact that they tried to make the play bottom lane, but unfortunately, Chenny Boy, we've seen Ashe bans from him in the past, but we've also seen a ton of missed arrows.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing is they let through Bard, and Kuden is a really good Bard player, and one thing that Bard does is kind of takes you to places no one else can. He's quite a magical character like that. The journey was huge. So, but the reason that's really important is because in the gank where it should have been a numbers discrepancy, they ended up fighting a 3v2 and then a 2v1.
Tower, yeah.
And there was a turret there with things going wrong, and then all of a sudden, Choo-Choos just shows up and cleans up the rest of the team. So I think that if that was this is why I love Bard. He does things no other champion can do. So if that's any other champion, not Bard, that game goes so much better. But Bard, he just stuffs it up for everyone.
And it's kind of this really cool trend now because we've seen 2 games back-to-back and 2 compositions from Legacy where it's really about how they're manipulated terrain and how they're manipulating and separating fights. Either with the Talia, with the Trundle, with the Bard now. Again, we saw really creative compositions coming out of Legacy earlier on in the season when they had Minky Well in the top lane filling in for Tally. And it's nice to see this just come to a head into a semifinal match.
And on that note, props to Legacy. I mean, they dropped Regret and picked up Kuden in a ballsy trade. I mean, Kuden was pretty much a Soraka main, and 2 games in a row now, dude's popped off. I mean, he's having an amazing final. Just credit to the young player. Gentlemen certainly stepping up to the occasion.
All right, well, we are now maybe potentially 1 game away from knowing who will be that first place in the final of the OPL Split 2. It is Legacy versus Avant-Garde, and we're back with Game 3 right after this.